Hello, this is Ginny Brant with Unleash Your God-Given Healing. What can I say about Arthelene Rippy? But wow, what a wonderful testimony of faith for so many years. This woman has practiced a healthy lifestyle, and we just immediately clicked. And she worked well into her 80s, full time, ministering through CTN in Florida. Her well-known show, Homekeepers, has been a basic staple to so many Christians for so many years. What you're going to see is not one, but two interviews that I did with Arthelene about the cancer journey. As I said, so many people are dealing with cancer, and Arthelene has had to deal with cancer in her own family as well. She said as soon as my book was placed on her desk, she picked it up, grabbed it, and said, yes, I want to interview her. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to work with this most gracious, wonderful woman before she finally decided to retire. I hope that you'll enjoy the information in both of these interviews. God bless.
Well, Jenny, I want to thank you again for staying around. This is such an important subject, okay. And as I said on the last program, this book you can understand. It's not, quote, a medical book. I did get the impression that you just had the sense, I guess, probably the Lord gave it to you, to really try to be a partner with the doctor. Say, okay, what can I do to make your job easier?
Amen. I mean, what can I do to give you the best terrain to work on, you know? Mm-hmm. What do I need to change in my terrain to make it better? And I had doctors that were willing to do that, and the doctor that wrote the book with me, that wrote the commentary throughout the book, also believes that what the patient does is very important, mm-hmm. because you want to kill the cancer, and then you don't want it coming back. Mm-hmm. And if you got cancer and you don't make any changes, then eventually that same cancer or another cancer can appear because something went wrong, because God makes our immune system mm-hmm. to fight cancer every day, to fight disease, to heal, repair, and detox. But we just want to make sure we don't get in the way of how He created the body mm-hmm. by our lifestyle habits.
I think this would just require a lot of prayer, that you go to the right doctor. You did seek a second opinion. We talked about that on the last program. But I've had a couple of experiences where I felt the Holy Spirit said, stay away from this, and this is the route to go. And so we did talk about exercise, and that's not getting a trainer and pumping iron. I mean, that's fine, you can do that, but just walking, it doesn't cost anything to walk.
It doesn't cost a dime to walk. Mm-hmm. And when you walk, it's pumping that lymphatic system. And so when the chemo goes in, okay, it's going to help it target the cancer. And then all that trash has to be moved out afterwards. And if you're not moving, it's going to recirculate in your body.
Yeah, and it's going to find a place to land.
What's so interesting is when I did it by instinct, no one told me to walk before and after chemotherapy. But after I finished the chemotherapy, all this research came out in Australia with all these entities coming together, and they were saying clearly that exercise is the best thing that a cancer patient can do during each part of the treatment. It makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. So now I have the research to back up what I did by instinct, yeah. But now I understand, yes, it's key to exercise. Mm-hmm. It's key to living.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you referred to a Baptist lifestyle in the book. I think you need to describe that.
Well, you think of the Baptist lifestyle. I've been on Baptist boards. I've been on the International Mission Board. I've been active in my church. And you think of Baptist as generally, we don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't go to wild parties and these kind of things, you know. And
we
so
do dessert.
yeah, but I'll sure do a lot of dessert, you know. But
I think that's
kind
true
of
of
the
a lot
way.
of denominations, yeah.
Yeah. When you look at the fact that smoking and drinking are risk factors for cancer, smoking just plain, period. Drinking if it's not in moderation. So you would think that because I was Baptist and lived a certain lifestyle, I would be less likely to get cancer. And that might usually be true. But in this case, it was not. As a matter of fact,
Not enough.
yeah, there were 10 women I served on the board with in the 1990s, the International Mission Board, the Southern Baptist Convention. 7 out of 10 of us got breast cancer. Now
So much for the Baptist lifestyle.
Right,
huh?
I know, we're sitting there going, but the further I looked, I kept saying, I know there's a reason. I don't have the regular risk factors, but I know there's a reason. And the more I looked, the more I discovered, yes, there were reasons.
Okay, give them to us.
Well, one of the reasons that I discovered that I got cancer, and it's never one thing. It's usually multifactorial, unless you were at Chernobyl when it blew with the radiation. You could say Chernobyl caused my cancer because of all the radiation, right?
Right.
Of course, I couldn't say that. So I asked some integrative doctors to measure things in my body. We were looking, just trying to figure out what was going on. And part of it was because I had bought a sauna, because after the chemo was over, you have all these chemicals you need to get out of your body, okay?
So you bought a sauna.
So yes, you can buy an in-home sauna to do that. There was no place around me that had a sauna. And I volunteered to be part of a clinical trial for that sauna company, and they were going to measure things in my body as I continued to use the sauna. Well, they ended up measuring toxic chemicals in my body. And when I got the first test results back, I went, oh my goodness, I've got like 12 of these in my body, and they're at high levels.
So does the sauna sweat those out?
Yes, your skin is your largest detox organ. And every time you sweat, you are sweating toxins out. I mean, it's like God knew we would live in a toxic environment. He gives us the liver, the lungs, the colon, the kidneys, and the skin as filtering systems. But I had allowed too many chemicals to rise up in my body at high levels, and if they're in and they're out, they're not doing as much damage, but mine were building up. My toxic load was high.
Finding a home.
Yeah, finding a home. And the interesting thing was, if you looked at the chemicals in the profile, one of them was glyphosate, and one was D24, the Agent Orange pesticide. Both of these are sprayed on our crops, okay? And so those two were at high levels in my body. According to Dr. Stephanie Seneff at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of their major medical researchers, they're endocrine disruptors. So bingo, I had an endocrine-fed cancer, estrogen, and these things contain estrogen mimicking qualities.
Eating just normal food.
Yes, healthy food even.
Yes.
Okay, so bingo, I'm finding out, okay, so what did I do? I switched over to what we call organic fruits and vegetables as much as possible. Some things it doesn't matter, and there are charts by the Environmental Working Group that show you the clean 15, the fruits and vegetables like avocados.
How do you know they're organic?
They have a 9 on them. When you look at the produce section, organic has a 9 on it.
But you don't think they're mixing the fruit up? I
No,
guess you have to trust them.
it's a high standard to be organic. And if you get something from a local farmer, you can ask them,
That would be the best.
what did you spray on this? And if they just sprayed a few times, it's not going to be as bad as the GMO foods are the ones that are heavily glyphosated, and they are genetically modified to be able to handle high amounts of chemicals being sprayed on them. But it doesn't, and they don't die, but that is passed on to you. So when you find these things high in your body, you can't deny that that's a problem.
Let me tell you, there's so much in this book. You need to get it because we can't really cover it in a couple of programs, called Unleash Your God-Given Healing. And you can get it on her website, you can get it at Amazon, and I'm telling you, it just covers everything. Bible says, good understanding giveth favor.
Yeah.
And I love that verse. You can go long and be stupid and not curious and all those things, but you understand some things that give you favor. There's so much in this, but we're going to move on. There's a connection between cancer and Alzheimer's?
Well, the connection is that a lot of the same things that cause Alzheimer's, my father died from that. My mother, sister, and I were the caretakers for nearly 10 years. But the same things is the high toxic load. As we age, your body cannot handle that many toxins. And so toxins is related to, and it's coming from fruits and vegetables and things, but it's coming from the things that we're doing, and it's related to cancer, and it's related to Alzheimer's. And I went to the Alzheimer's research conference with my mom as my father was dying from it, and they allowed us to ask questions. And basically they said we need those phytochemicals and those antioxidants that are in fruits and vegetables, okay? And at that time they didn't qualify, they needed to be organic, okay? But we need that to overcome all of the pesticides and all of the chemicals that we are exposed to in our environment. So as our chemical load goes up, we need to eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. The Daniel diet,
Garden of Eden.
Garden of Eden,
Right
that's
there.
exactly right.
Okay, here are some risk factors that she's listed. Alcohol, you need a healthy weight, you need physical activity, shouldn't smoke. Age, what's that got to do with it?
At about age 60, your risk for all cancers goes up significantly.
Oh, really?
And it's because your immune system is getting older.
Kind of thinning out a little bit.
So you can expect that more people after the age of 60 are going to be at risk for higher rates of cancer.
And not having children.
That one really threw
Women
me.
are meant
It's
to
not,
bear
it's not
children.
fair because, you know, what if you couldn't have children?
Right.
But the fact that you are pregnant lowers your estrogen load. The fact that you breastfeed lowers your estrogen load. I breastfed twins and my other son for 2 years. So that should have lowered my estrogen load, but evidently all the chemicals upped it, so it helped, but only so much.
I think that's amazing because everything kind of goes back to God's plan. Live kind of like He outlined, and you're going to be all right.
And then they've added the dense breast as a risk factor just in the last few weeks. They're
But
starting.
what can you do about that?
You can't, but you have to use different methods to help to detect the cancer. You really, you're right.
Right, because
You really
they can
can't.
hide in there.
Yeah, you really can't do anything about it. But
I love this one, breastfeeding humans and whales.
well, we were on a whale expedition in British Columbia out there in the water, and they were talking about how the female orcas detox when they nurse their young, and they live longer. Now, some of the babies don't make it because of the toxins they're getting from the mother. The males don't make it as long because they're not nursing. So when you nurse...
Great to be a woman.
But let me tell you this, there are women today, my daughter-in-law was one of these, she detoxed her body before she got pregnant, knowing that her toxic load would
Good for
pass
her.
to her baby. And then while she was nursing, you know, she'd already detoxed so that her daughter's going to get cleaner milk, basically. So I'm seeing a lot of young women on the ball about this.
Yes, and I just commend you for a book for laymen that has this much information. Okay, this kind of goes without saying, but she spends a lot of time in the book on water. I have to remind myself to drink water. And thank God, I don't like any kind of soda drinks at all. I just drink fruit juice and water. I do put sugar in my tea in the morning, my hot tea in the morning. But that's never been a problem with me, but I just have to remind myself to drink water.
You have to think to drink water. But let me tell you what counts. Let me tell you how much water you need, first of all.
I know, and I can't get it all in one day.
It's half your body weight in fluid ounces. So let's say you weigh 150 pounds. That would be 75 ounces of water a day. Here's the good news.
You'd be going to the bathroom all the time.
Well, you would, but a fruit smoothie that I'll make this afternoon, we drink a smoothie a day because we get 6 or 7 superfoods in there. But that counts as hydration. Whenever you pair the water with fruit and with vegetables, it enhances the hydration. So if you squeeze lemon or you put mint in your water. Now, tea does not count if it's caffeinated because the caffeine pulls water out of you.
Well, you can't take my one caffeinated drink in the
You
morning.
can have it,
away
but you'd
from
have
me.
to drink some water to make extra
I
water to make
promise.
up for it.
I promise. That's my only vice. Well, I don't know. I like sweets once in a while.
But the water enhances every cell and
Oh, yeah.
every system in the body and can be a major preventative for cancer, for COVID, for any disease, because
Absolutely.
all those miracles that God does in our body while we're just doing this interview are done in the medium of water.
And a lot of information about water is in the Bible. It's huge. Okay, got to hurry along, but you need to get the book because we're just skimming the surface.
Well, let me say this. I do have at jennybrant.com a cancer prevention blog that they can sign up for.
That's good to know, yes.
Because new information keeps coming out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sleep. God is all powerful, but even he needed a rest.
Well, I think he was setting the example for us because he knew we would need it. And, you know, while we're here and talking, our body is performing those miracles. We may have a cancer cell. Our body is taking care of business. Mm-hmm. But when we sleep at night, those miraculous healings only go up. Because melatonin, a hormone created in our body while we're in deep sleep, is a major cancer fighter and immune builder.
But you know, Jenny, I know for myself, I never had problems sleeping. I could sleep anywhere. But at this age, sometimes you lay awake for a long, long time. And the more conversations I have with people, and I think it's because of the we live in, you know, we're living in difficult times.
Crazy
world. We're being hit all
Mm-hmm.
the time when we don't know it, and our emotions get raw just watching the news. And to turn all that off at night, I think that's so major if you can sleep.
Yeah, it is. But one thing I had to look at carefully was what is in my bedroom that might be keeping me awake. Mm-hmm. The night light is now in the bathroom so that it only turns on when I walk that direction, mm-hmm. because any type of light can keep you up. If you have, you know what a lot of people do, they plug their cell phone in next to their bed. Mm-hmm. That cell phone emits, okay? And that can interfere with your melatonin.
Even if it's not making any noise?
Even if it's not making any noise.
Oh my.
I have a whole chapter on that in the book because that's one of the things I really goofed on and most people do not realize. So I do not plug my cell phone.
Not in the bedroom.
Yeah, I put it in the bathroom to plug it in at night.
Okay,
So,
we've got a couple minutes left. Body weight is so important, and we have an overweight nation.
we do.
It's just, and not just cancer. It affects everything.
It's true. And you won't see that I've been in a lot of places in the world and you will not see a lot of people as overweight or as obese
Americans
as we are. And that is the number one risk factor for all cancers and underlying to a lot of other diseases. So here's the number one risk factor, and we've got that by and large. And the doctor said, well, you don't have that according to your height and your weight. But you know, the further I looked and the more I read about, you know, each person's body is different. And one person, it might take them 100 pounds of being overweight for things not to work as well. But I looked back and I was 30 pounds lighter when I got married 45 years ago. And what is that extra weight doing on me? It's not helping me at all. So
no one
I've
would
lost
accuse you
10
of being
of it.
overweight.
Well, they wouldn't, but you know what? If you look carefully, I would say that I am overweight. I'm not obese, but I do need to lose. I've lost 10 pounds. I need to lose another 10 or 15 pounds because it's not doing my body any good. Another person, it might not bother them as much.